kind of technology? Well, that's exactly what Loeb says he may have done. Okay, let's jump in our time machines and head back in time again to January 8th, 2014. A fireball blazed across the sky above the South Pacific, somewhere near the northern coast of Papua New Guinea. It flew by at over 60 kilometers per second. That's 134,000 miles per hour. Fast enough to cause shock waves as the asteroid entered our atmosphere. Then it broke apart. Its fragments fell to the Earth, making it by definition a meteorite. So hopefully we know the difference between a meteorite, an asteroid, and a comet. The event was detected by a U.S. Department of Defense satellite. After that, the meteorite was recorded in a public database produced by NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies, or CNEOS. It was called CNEOS 2014-0108, referring to the date the meteorite was discovered. Its arrival didn't make
I am in California, my dears.
Social media, it's possible
How about you?
no saw it happen. Or they did, but it just looked like any other shooting star. And that might have been the end of this meteorite story until Avi Loeb and a small team found it listed in that database 5 years later in 2019. Because on paper, it looked exactly like what they were searching for. An old interstellar object that our telescopes have missed. Remember, our mirror was just the first one we detected. That doesn't mean there are other interstellar objects that we just didn't always have the technology to see them. So if you're a scientist, you could wait until we find the next one, or you could look at data from past objects, like the 2014 meteorite that had broken up over Papua New Guinea. What caught the team's eye was the meteorite's speed. Something going that fast could have come from outside our solar system. Loeb and his colleague wrote a paper on these findings and submitted it for publication. Only the astronomy journal they submitted to initially rejected it. More data was needed Loeb needed to prove his data, quote, would reveal too much about the capabilities of the military equipment that found it. See, the satellite, monitored by the U.S. Department of Defense, was built to keep an eye out for foreign missiles. It was a spy satellite. In 2022, Loeb actually got confirmation for his theory from the government. In a memo to NASA, a U.S. Space Force Lieutenant General wrote that his chief scientist reviewed Loeb's data, the part that was classified. He found it to be accurate, and he thought there was a high probability that Loeb was right. The meteorite was interstellar. As a result, CNEOS 2014-0108 is on the bottom of the sea. Loeb had the coordinates of where IM-1 presumably broke up. He knew he wanted to look about 60 miles off the coast of Manus Island, where the water is about a mile deep. In June 2023, he got his chance. He headed up an expedition aboard a ship called Silver Star. The team took a sled outfitted with magnets, lowered it to the sea floor, and dragged it along as they sailed. In the end, it picked up 850 metallic particles, which Loeb calls spherules. These tiny, pretty head compositions you would expect to find in our solar system, if you know about that kind of thing. But 10% of the spherules were different. They contained high concentrations of certain elements like uranium and beryllium. These are only defined naturally on Earth. But Loeb said these showed concentrations 1,000 times higher than we find in objects from our solar system, which seemed to confirm that this meteorite wasn't from our neck of the woods. He also suggested another theory, and you might know where I'm going with this, that IM-1 wasn't just a space rock.
My silly
It could
toe.
have an artificial origin. It could have been some kind of alien technology. Whatever
So
Iron
dumb.
was, it burned up in our atmosphere on its way down. Loeb likens it to a laptop.